had to redo this part because I did the filter the wrong way. So for like half of the tutorial, it's really echoey. Yeah, so that would get really annoying if I just posted it like that, and I don't want to have to do subtitles, and also, you know, it'd be weird if for half the tutorial it's echoey and the other half is completely understandable. It would be a little bit weird, in my opinion at least. I'd rather have a bit more consistency than that. So I'm not planning out runtime. It's already like 20 minutes long, but you know. Also, I have the voice playing back to me, so I don't forget if I have the filter on or not, and it's really, really distracting. I keep losing my train of thought. Anyway, so we're just gonna do whatever. Actually, I could just turn my. Oh, hell, that's way easier. Okay, yeah, I just turn my PC volume down. I don't know why I didn't know that before. Okay, so. Hayato. Haha. Okay, so to draw a hand. Oh, scandal, sneak peek. Oh my god. Man. Oh, it's the first time I'm doing one without a filter, so enjoy my kawaii voice, I guess. Adrian. But I didn't just choke on a drink, Coke. The drink, not the. Okay. So draw a hand. You know, a lot of people try drawing hands and they end up. That isn't how it's meant. How is this meant to go? Huh. Uh-huh. I didn't script anything for before I, like, messed up. I didn't script anything for the whole part that I messed up with the filter. So, I'm gonna just... Okay, so people always wonder, how do you draw hands? How do you draw hands? Because I think it's pretty universal. The artists say the hardest, if not one of the hardest parts of the human body to draw is the hand, because, you know, all the intricacies, and you have to get it pretty spot on, otherwise it will look super weird, you know, because of how specific it is, you know. Unless you're in a dream, in which case you don't notice your hand being completely mangled. I've experienced that before, you know. I had a dream, and someone I know said, in the dream, like a dream person said, "Hey, look at your hand." And I was like, "Oh my god, my hand looks, no joke, my hand looked like that." When? No, it looked more like that or something, you know, it looked mangled, and I was like, oh, I'm dreaming, okay, sick, and I did nothing with that information, so I didn't even lucid dream, and it's really annoying, because I knew I was in a dream, but for some reason, I thought the people in the dream were still, like, real, and I don't know, man, it was weird as a... So then I just kind of acted like I wasn't in a dream, and then it's annoying, because I could have, like, flew, I could have been Superman. I could have been Spider-Man. I could have been Batman. Probably wouldn't want to be Batman, but actually, or Spider-Man. Then my uncle would die. Or my granddad. Who died? Someone. Starting to think, yeah. Super... best thing for a kid to want. Or anyone. To be honest. Babies. The babies want to... You have like that one in the Incredibles. Like that baby. Okay, so that's pretty normal looking hand, you know. A lot of people would consider that a hand. That's a hand. Like 9 out of 10 stream. Hey, that's pretty cool. So, how do you draw this though? Well, you get a hand, you break it down, you know, from both angles. Ignore this stuff. I don't know what this person was doing. In my original one with like the weird filter, they were doing, I noticed this as well, like after I like copy and pasted it in from Google Images. I noticed this thumb was like maldeformed, so I don't know what's going. Like this one, it's fine. This one is just fine, but then this one looks really weird. So I don't know what that's about. Yeah, break down the hand. You know, you can break it down into these kind of shapes. I don't really do that because, in my opinion, that just makes it even more complicated. You know, because now instead of thinking of that shape, I'm thinking of like these shapes, you know? So I find just doing that is easy. You know, just having this is easier. And a lot of people do also overstate the kind of arc that the hand has. You know, something like that. I just bumped my mic. That was me moving. I didn't predict I bumped the mic. My mic's just kind of sitting on my desk. It's really non-professional. And again, this is like my third video I've ever made. I mean, I made like a bunch of non-art related videos. I can't remember, I either privated them or deleted them. I don't know. Hopefully I privated them, because those are kind of funny in my opinion, but I don't know. Okay, so, you know, you have the hand, you have the palm, and then you try and draw the fingers. You don't know what you're meant to do? Well, a good way to think of it is just take the palm, duplicate it, not like that. No, take like the palm. Okay. Figuring this out on the fly, by the way, because I'm doing this like I'm meant to be editing right now, but I'm not. So take where the thumb is, like where you see the thumb, duplicate that to there, and that will give you a pretty good arc, because the arc up of the fingers is more than the curve of the bottom of the fingers, but it still curves the same way, you know, like the middle fingers, the highest at the top and the bottom, then it goes the ring finger, then the first finger, both extremely close to each other. Okay, they're basically that you can just put these on the exact same height, and then just have the third one there, and then just have that going down. Obviously the pinky, both in height, top and bottom. And then you have the thumb. I believe you can think of the thumb as just a girthy pinky finger, you know? You draw it like it's a pinky finger, and then you just up the girth and add this nice little shape that I'll talk about later, because I'm doing this later, but you know. Oh, that's weird. Okay. I'll draw the thumb perfectly fine, you know? I'll draw the fingers perfectly fine, you know? The hands aren't looking too good, who cares? I'll draw the hand and the thumb perfectly fine, you know? Acceptable, you know? They'll draw them fine, and it'll look good. You know? They'll take the thumb and they'll try and rotate it, and then they'll end up with something like that. I see that a lot. And that's not quite right, because, you know, if we look down here, the thumb actually extends down here to the wrist. You know, so if we were to draw that out, it would look a little something like this, you know, and then the thumb, when you're drawing it, you'd stop it here, but the thumb would actually extend down to around here. So then, when you move your thumb, because if you look, first joint of the thumb is here. So, because the first joint is there, when you are to move your thumb, you would move it here and then there, and then that would manipulate the kind of skin and muscle around here to also moving with your thumb. Just like that. So, you know, instead of it being like that, if I just quickly. I ain't drawing all this again. Just duplicate it. You'll see, it wouldn't be like that. Instead, this is around where it moves. Go there. Instead, look a little something like that. Trying to keep that iconic kind of thumb shape. That's another thing that helps it look like a thumb, keeping this kind of almost like triangle shape. I call it a triangle, like a asymmetrical triangle, you know? Yeah, I see a lot of people who completely ignore the bone structure. And while I'm adamant that you don't need to know the bone structure, you just need to know its effects. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't even look at the effects of the bones, you know? They think, oh, if it's a bone, it doesn't exist, you know? You know, I like to look at the effects, you know? I don't always remember that, you know, that's where the joint is. But I do remember that bruh, I think I just had a heart. Yeah, so I do remember that the bone has that effect on it, though. I don't remember it's the bone, I just remember that it looks like that when, you know, the thumb goes lower as it moves outward. Yeah, a good tip is, you know, like if you're drawing, you know, like an anime girl or something, I don't know, say you're drawing like an anime girl, I have no idea, then, you know, you're drawing the hand, you know, like a petite person, you know, drawing the hand, you wouldn't draw it like short and stubby and wide and stuff. You know, you wouldn't draw that, you know, you wouldn't give them like that kind of hand. You know, you draw it more kind of elongated and thinner, you know? All the limbs would be kind of thinner, you know? Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. You know, maybe it'd be something a bit more like that or something, maybe. I don't know. You know, it's just keep that in mind, you know, and then obviously if it's like a more kind of strong, girthy person, maybe it's like a, I don't know, bodybuilder or something, then they will have a more kind of girthy hand that you want to draw them with, you know, you want to draw them with a more girthy hand this way. Also, it depends on art style as well, you know. Also, the wrist will be thicker. You know, it heavily, heavily, heavily depends on the art style, how you draw them, because that's how everything's affected in art. Depends on your art style. Yeah, so that's just a little something to keep in mind. And then another good thing, another good point, is to reference actual, like, art. You know, not just real life, reference art as well. That is very important. Okay, so this is an example from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's just a manga. And you see, it has very kind of sharp rectangular shapes, you know? You can easily break everything down. And then how they draw, you know, the nails as well. I love how they draw the nails. I love how, I don't know the person that makes the series, but I love how, whoever they are, I love how they draw the nails. And I love, like, the shading they put on it, and how they draw the bones, you know? That's how you also get kind of more, what is it, like, that, like, anime, with the super veiny, like, hot guy hands. You know, you add all these little bone things to show it's a thinner hand, you know. I just really, absolutely love how a person draws this stuff, you know? How they draw hands. The good thing is, you have, like, an absolute ton of hand references because, like, the power system in the anime has a lot to do with hands, you know, like doing hand signs and stuff. Do all that sign language stuff. Yeah, I think this is a very nice reference, though you might like something more rounded. I don't know, you might like, I don't know what the hands look like, but you might like a more Sailor Moon kind of hand. You might like a Pokemon hand, I don't know. It doesn't matter, just whatever hands, you know, whatever artists you like, reference them, but don't only reference them. That's the mistake I made with Hirohiko Araki. I only referenced him and then my art was just, you know, a copy of his art, but worse. And that's not what you want to be, you know, you don't just want to be a copycat, but worse. That's like the worst thing you could be. A few tips and tricks are, you know, on average, if it's like a normal, like, I guess, young adult to adult, you know, like teenager to adult, the hand is going to be, you know, you can cover the hand, the entire face with the hand, okay, not the entire head, which is what it seems like a lot of people seem to think, but no, it's the entire face. So something like that, you know. Hands would probably be something like that if they were, you know, up against the person's face. Yeah. That's a nice little tip that I think is really good to remember. Oh yeah, I guess if I just bring this back, you can see, if I take the middle finger, if I take the length of the visible middle finger, we're not counting all this bone stuff, and we put it up against the palm, you can see it's the same size as the palm, maybe a tiny bit short, ever so slightly, but you can just average that out to same size as the palm. So that's something to remember, you know. That's something I always do. Or never do. I never remember that measurement, and as you can see, it doesn't go very well. You know, so really it should be more something like that, you know. That's what it should be more of. And as you can see, already that looks way better. Just that one little thing makes it way better. Yeah. So that's really good to remember. You know, like I said, petite hands will be more thin, you know, long, thin, stretched out, thinner, very thin, exaggerate the thinness. And also, the wrist will be thinner as well, you know. The wrist will also be thinner. The muscles will be less pronounced and the wrist will be thinner. And so you won't have like the shoulder really coming out as much, it will just go straight downward, you know. Though I don't really like to do that. It's a stylistic choice that I kind of always have the shoulder pop out a little bit, just because I think it looks nicer, you know. Helps to break the shoulder up from the arm. I think that just looks cooler. Though it does mean I have to kind of exaggerate the thinness everywhere else to help kind of show that it is thinness, that it is actually meant to be. I see a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, do this, it's my style, do that, it's my style, when one, it's either, you know, it's either not actually their style, or they're not balancing it out, you know? They'll draw like big eyes, and they'll draw like realistic, but then they'll just have big eyes. That's just gonna look weird, you know? If you're gonna draw big eyes, you kind of need to balance that out by maybe drawing a smaller body, you know, having stubbier proportions, that kind of thing. You know, it's getting that balance, and you still liking the style as well. That's the most important thing, you liking the style. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I'm just saying, you know, if you're wanting to do commissions or something, you really want to make sure you're getting a style that appeals to a lot of people. Anyway, you saw it with the Jujutsu Kaisen hands. You see these little bumps on the inside, and you see these little concave bits on the outside? That is like what I call in and out. So in and out is like that, right? Like with the gesture line. It's, you know, in, out, in. But that's not the only place you can use it. You can use it in basically anything, you know. If I do that, that's taking it to an extreme, but that is a hand, though it looks broken, because it is. And it doesn't have to be that exaggerated. You know, if you look here, it's barely exaggerated. Yeah, so it can be something like that, and then, look at that, boom. You know, you can draw the hands like they do in, you know, the nails, like they do in Jujutsu Kaisen, and then do these little things here, and then draw that, and boom, look at that, we have a Jujutsu Kaisen hand, or finger. Oh, that's those hands. Cool. You know, no, you kind of make your own style. That was a pretty big tangent. Anyway. And then, in my opinion, the most important tip for drawing hands, other than use reference, is to learn like 3 or 4 hand types, okay? And then kind of change all those into a more 3-dimensional shape. So, you know, like get down, I don't know, a hand from the back, a hand from the front, a hand from the side. These are all poorly drawn, by the way, just so you know. Don't know if you noticed. Yeah. You know, draw a hand from there, a hand from there, blah 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 blah, all that, and then, you know, maybe one in perspective. You know, maybe something like that. I don't know. Just a random hand pose. You know, something like that. You know. Bug on my neck. Ow. Okay. Oh no, I said ow, it's a bug. It doesn't hurt. I'm so petite. Okay. You know, so you have that kind of thing. You have like these poses where you can draw hands somewhat from these poses, right? So you can draw hands, so now you've learned how to draw hands from these poses. But let's say you want to combine these two to make a semi side view. Well, first of all, you can also use reference, but second of all, knowing those two shapes will allow you to do that. Because you know them two, you can kind of mesh them together. And while it may not be super accurate, it's pretty good. You know, like, it's pretty good than if you didn't use that technique. The thing is, you can know both of those hands and not use that technique because you're not trying to. So just use that technique a couple of times, you know. Maybe you can trace a hand from this angle and a hand from this angle, and then try and combine them into a hand from this angle. But yeah, that's just, you know, a quick little video, just some tips. I actually don't know, because I'm doing this in a bunch of different parts, so I don't know if it's going to be like 10 minutes long, or like 20, or like 30. I don't know, it's up to however I edit this video. But yeah, if I can remember which one, I think it's that one. Hayato. Hey, I was right. Now, yeah, the music is very loud, so what I'm gonna do is turn that music down. Oh yeah, now you can barely even hear it.